An old guy sitting on a bench was watching two guys doing some work in the park. One guy would dig a hole and move on and start digging another hole, and behind him the other guy would come up and start filling the hole in he'd just dug. The old guy watches them for a bit and then he says, "Excuse me, why are you digging a hole just for him to fill it back in again?" And the digger said, "Well, the guy who puts the plants in is on holiday." Hi, welcome to Pictures, Noise and Words. I'm Hedgy. And ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mark Blau. That's this guy.
Well, sir, thank you very much. Yes, hi.
So I kind of surprised Mark. Mark's been a regular commenter on the channel, been a subscriber for quite a long time. So I kind of surprised him, I think, by sending him a random email saying, "Do you want to come on? You know, it'll be fun." That was roughly all I said. And for some reason he said yes. And here we are. Hello.
Yeah, I want to be a star.
Oh, well, good luck with that. This is not the way to do it.
Oh, well, just go on.
Mark's from the Netherlands, where I've been a couple of times. People in the Netherlands speak better English than quite a lot of English people, so that's good. So we're here to talk about Opeth. I mean, Opeth it's a genre of its own. They've become such sort of a beacon for death metal, melodic death metal, and they've got such a signature sound that you hear something that sounds a bit like Opeth, and that's where your mind goes. You basically say, "Oh, Opeth." You know, they literally become a genre of their own. Do you agree? Yeah, Mark? They're basically...
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree. Oh, man. Yeah.
Sorry, I do that. I will just go, "Yeah, what do you think?" Yeah.
I went away because I only saw the guys a year ago. And before that, I knew their name, and I saw something on the internet. But I saw them live actually last year, and well, to say it in YouTube terms, I was blown away. And I was blown away. And ever since I listen really every day. Every day I listen one or two songs from Opeth.
Wow,
it's enslaving.
Yeah. I used to be like that. I mean, they've produced, 2, 4, 6, 8, I've got a list here, 10, 12, 13, 14 albums, is it? 14, 13 albums? That's a lot. And in the earlier days, from probably about Still Life is more probably when I first kind of found Opeth. And then Blackwater Park came out, and then the mighty sort of Deliverance and Damnation albums, which were, I think, a massive sort of changing point for how people saw Opeth. I think up to that point, they were a death metal band. They might have had all these great melodies and everything, and they might have been very progressive. But Deliverance and Damnation, I think they really took it up a notch. With Steven Wilson producing. A lot of people don't realize Steven Wilson produced those, and I think you can hear it. I think you can hear the Steven Wilson on there. I don't know if you're aware of Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson's the Porcupine Tree guy, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Obviously an artist in his own right and very, very prolific producer. He's reproduced old Yes albums. He's done lots of stuff with Michael Ackerfeld, the singer from Opeth. You know, they've done their side projects together, and I think Deliverance and Damnation changed Opeth.
Yeah, but you mentioned Yes there.
Oh yeah.
And I remember requesting a Legion. They did a cover of
Roundabout.
Roundabout, yeah. You came with it.
Yeah, because it was brilliant.
I was very, very pleased.
It was brilliant. Yes is what started me out on music in about 1973.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because I'm really old. So when I was about, in 1973, I would have been about 7. And I remember listening to Yes and just, just being amazed by it. And that stuck with me. So listening to Roundabout all metalled up, it's like a dream come true for me. I love the original, but I love their version as well. So, and Opeth, Mikael Åkerfeldt, he's very into his early prog. He really likes his 70s prog. He's the sort of person that will go out and find an obscure prog album from 1970 something and spend, $300 getting it, sort of thing. He really loves, and I mean, I'm jumping around here because, as ever, of course, this is not very structured. Yeah. I don't structure these things. I just make it up as I go along. Where was I going? Oh yes, he loves his old 70s prog, and in a way, Opeth has definitely transformed into an older, more just prog band.
Yeah.
They drop the death metal, and this track, the Lotus Eater, is off Watershed, which turned out to be really a watershed moment for them because it's the last album they did with the death metal, basically. And a lot of people, I don't know how you feel because you only found them a year ago, so I don't know how you feel about that. But a lot of the old fans,
I feel like a small child in a candy shop. Well, you're going through a rabbit hole of only good music. Well, I like the older Opeth. I like more than the new Opeth. I'm into prog, but the death metal is my jam. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people who sort of were early fans of Opeth and came up through the sort of the Blackwater Park albums, Still Life and Deliverance and Ghost Reveries, and then Watershed, they had a certain expectation by that point. And then Heritage came out, and it was such a shock. And
it was
kind of that I always, in the back of my mind, I thought, the next album, they'll go back to being, doing their death. And of course they didn't. They stuck to their guns, and and I completely understand it. As somebody who has made music, and as somebody who's been involved in music one way or another for practically my whole life, you've got to see it from their point of view. They're doing whatever, and all bands are doing what drives them, what their creativeness is part of who they are. And that, like anything in life, you just mature and you change, and you can't just go back. Things that you did when you were 22 that you really liked, you won't like to do now necessarily, whatever it is. I mean, some of them you probably will, but some of them, you're not the same person you were when you were 22. Now you're 25. I'm not making...
you're right. When you were 7, I was 3.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't listen to Yes, but...
No, not when you were 3. Time. Fair enough. But... And that's just, and so people who get really upset, and there are people who get very, very upset that Opeth are not producing the stuff that they want them to. Need to just think, well, Opeth don't owe you anything. That you got what you paid for back in the day, and if you don't like their new stuff, buy something else. Go and listen to Pia Mater, which is just like Opeth. There are bands out there who have the Opeth sound if you really, really really need it. So people need to just wind their necks in a bit, because Opeth, by this point, I don't think are going to go back. They're not going to turn back into who they were. So I think we should probably play the song.
Well, good idea.
Now then, everyone out there, Mark cannot see my screen, so he can't hear the song that I'm watching, so he needs to watch it himself separately. So I'll have to 3, 2, 1 him in, so we're actually playing the song at the same time. But that, of course, will be invisible to everyone else, just so you know what's going on. Why are you doing this? But this is the Lotus Eater. I imagine people who are watching this channel right now are here because it's Opeth. You already know Opeth, so it doesn't really require any introduction other than to say this is classic Opeth. You know, you could not get more Opethy than this song. So, here we go. Are you ready, Mark?
I'm ready.
Okay. Are you ready out there, people? You have no choice. Okay. In 3, 2, 1, click.
Really funky.
Okay, I'll pause it there because there's literally a minute of people just talking in the background as it fades out. So, yeah. Well, I've got several things to say just about that song. I don't know whether Mark's with me or whether he's still listening to people talking. I think he's still... Shall I wave to him? He's not there. Mark! Mark! Are you there?
Here I am.
You couldn't tell, but I stopped it when all the talking started at the end.
Okay. No, I couldn't tell. Well,
you were lost in it. You were lost.
Yeah, really. Well, that creepy end. Wow. Yesterday I listened to the more of them, and the intro of the more, and this outro would be well. I think I could listen to that all day. The intro, the outro, the intro, the outro. It's something. Yeah, it's something else. It's I don't know.
Yeah, and it doesn't strike me in the same way as that outro doesn't strike me the same way it struck you.
Oh,
but that's music, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's art.
Everybody feels it its own way. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's art, isn't it? You just kind of you interpret it like you say the way you do. So why did you choose that song? Because Mark chose this, by the way. It wasn't me.
Yeah. Well, it combines everything. What I love in metal. That's
not
about
just
it.
in Opeth.
Yeah, well, although Opeth, probably every song has something in it. What I love in metal, but let's for starters the intro. It's such a lovely lullaby you're getting, and then the drums come in and well, the guitar playing it's rough and it's hard and at the same time melodic and well, you said it in your intro and well, I totally agree with it and well, when you hear such a song, then you hear it again. It's the end for me. The end.
The thing about Opeth songs and songs like this, it's not fair to pick out this song necessarily, but this is a song where people, the first time they hear it, if they don't know Opeth, they only hear a certain amount of it because it's too much to take in. Because it's full of very cool timing changes and very cool key changes, but it's also seamlessly put together that you don't notice. Some bands will go from through different sections of their song and they literally stop one part of the song and they'll start another part. And Opeth do it sometimes because sometimes it's just a very cool way of doing something. But what that song does very cleverly is it will transition from one part of a song to another so seamlessly, and you're so carried along with it that you may not even be aware of it. You just suddenly find yourself somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's
precisely.
And they do it with the key changes as well, because there will be a key change, and key change is the thing that, I mean, every pop song changes the key for the last chorus because it lifts the song at the end.
Yeah.
And the same thing works in reverse. You know, you can drop a song's mood by changing the key, and that happens in this song, and it happens in a lot of Opeth songs, of course. But it's so well done. It's so well written. In fact, if people watching, I've just realised if I'm looking down there, Mark's down there for me. He's not up, the camera's up, but Mark's down. So if you wonder why I'm talking like that, though on this screen it kind of works because you're down there on my screen, just for clarity. Anyway. I'm very good at distracting myself. But it's super busy, that song. You know, there's so much in it that people, the first time they hear it, only hear half of it, say. They hear the main themes. But that should be enough for you to say, wow, there's really something there. And I'll go and listen to it again. The next time you hear it, you hear a bit more. And then and after you've heard it 5 times, maybe, one, you're addicted to it. But 2, you're then at the point where you can fully enjoy it. It's that you become an advanced listener kind of thing. And then the next time you hear an Opeth song, you're prepared, and you'll probably hear it better. But yeah, songs like this, and like a lot of prog, there's so much going on if you get under the surface, that you can pull out more of the, which is why 12 years later, because this came out in 2008, 12 years later, this still sounds so good.
Yeah,
because you can hear the quality 12 years later. You know, it's nobody has come up with something that just replaces it. You know, it's just it is, and which is why Opeth has become a genre. This is just my opinion, folks. I mean, but this is how I see it.
Yeah, there are lots of people who think that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure.
I've now experienced 30 years of metal, but there is no other group, no other band that sounds the same. Yeah, that Pia Mater, you call it. Yeah, it's just some kind of a, you may say, clone.
Tribute.
Yeah, tribute, friendlier. Yeah, no, but really. They try to play the music like Opeth did. They do it with their own sauce. It's okay, and it sounds very, very good. But yeah, really, at the time that Opeth was making this kind of music, there was no other band that did similar things.
No, and I've seen them live so many times. And I've taken people to see them who didn't know who they were, people who are not even into metal. I'd say, I'm going to see Opeth, you should come too, you know?
Yeah.
And they go, okay. And then,
I know you.
And, and they come out, what have I just seen? That was, because you can hear the quality, and that's what, and it works because they've got one person with a singular vision. So Mikael Åkerfeldt has the vision, because for this album they changed two people in the band. You know, they got a new guitar player and a new drummer.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for one person's vision of how it should go, that would have changed the band. It should have changed the band, but in a way it's going to have changed it a little here and there, but it's still classic Opeth, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, all credit to Mikael for keeping it all together, for keeping his vision and everything. Yeah. And then his vision changed. So it is what it is, sort of thing.
And the other guys came along and seem to like what they do. It's okay.
I think they've got a new audience, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
I don't think it's as big as the old audience.
Same things, huh?
Pardon?
Live, they are doing the same things of what they did in the old days.
But for a while they didn't.
Yes,
for a while it was only that,
yes.
You know, he refused to growl, and I haven't seen them live since the album after this, Heritage, was it? I have not seen them live since then. I saw them lots and lots of times up to that point, and it's not because I was like, I'm not going to see them now, you know. It wasn't. It wasn't that. It was just I did kind of lose interest a little bit in them, and I was worried in a way that I would be there for an hour and a half and I'd get bored. You know.
Yeah.
And I think I'm wrong, but at the time that was how I saw it. So I just, unfortunately, and I've had, you know, several opportunities since, and I've just not been to see them. But I think now. Well, not now, because nobody can see anyone.
No,
but next time,
Yeah.
I'll go back, because I love Opeth. You know, I certainly love old Opeth, and I respect and appreciate new Opeth. If I had a choice, I would have old Opeth, but you can't take away the quality, in my, again, humble opinion. And the other thing about Opeth, I don't know if you agree with this or not. I mean, you've heard lots of different bands, you've heard lots of different kinds of music, and lots of different, I mean, there's all the little tiny subgenres of death metal, you know, all of that sort of thing, because metal loves to chop itself up into new genres. But one thing about Opeth, I think, that a lot of bands don't have, is they're quite comfortable to listen to. They're quite...
Yes, it's listenable,
yeah. But you get kind of like a comfortable... Well, I do. I get like a... It's like listening to that I think it's because the timing changes, things are so seamless that I get quite comfortable in my listening to it. I've heard it lots of times, that helps too. But Opeth's sound, it's not harsh, even though it's death
listenable
metal.
but not predictable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's full of good melody. If Pete was here, if Paz was here, he'd be saying, it's the melodies. It's the melodies. Melodies is everything, you know. And they have superb melodies, superb songwriting, and superb musicianship. I would have been, you know, trying to replace their old drummer is a terrifying prospect because he was so good. Yeah. And then they did it. You know, I don't know.
Axe.
Yeah, and he played live with them quite a while, didn't he? Before he was their official drummer.
That's something I don't really know.
Yeah.
Will you say so?
Yeah, I saw them live, I think more than once, and he was the drummer live, but their album drummer, because he didn't drum on the album until this one, I don't think, until Watershed. But he was touring with them before that because their old drummer didn't tour. So I don't know why. I can't remember whether I've got a feeling he like suffered from anxiety and just didn't tour, but I may be wrong, and somebody will come along in the comments and
maybe you will see that in the comments.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. People love to point out when you're wrong. So yeah, he was the drummer for them for a while before he became their official replacement. So I guess that helped. But you know, these people are all so good. Martin Lopez, that was their old drummer. That's it. I've just looked up on my screen. So, yeah, it's a classic, but most Opeth is.
It is, yeah. Everything all of Opeth is classic, I think.
Yeah. And I bet there's a lot of people watching this because Opeth was such a big force in metal for such a long time. There'll be people watching this who have lots of memories attached to either Opeth albums or Opeth concerts that they'll say, oh, I remember when back in 2006 I saw them at such and such a place and blah, 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 blah. And it's one of those bands. It's just they've become part of sort of metal history, really. They've carved themselves out a nice spot in metal history.
Yeah, agreed.
The world would be a less interesting place without them. So, yeah, I can't say anything. I cannot say enough good things about Opeth, regardless of the fact that some people just don't like them anymore. But that's the hardcore death metalers, and I get that because it is no longer they've changed genre, you know, whether like it or not. I like it. I just would, if I had a choice, I would go for the older Opeth, that's all. Yeah.
Agree with that, yeah.
Okay. So, is there anything else, Mark, you want to add before I do the old ending thing? Was there anything you needed to get off your chest about Opeth?
Well, no, people, you're never too old to delve into some old band.
That's right.
When you delve into some old band, delve into Opeth.
Yes.
That's my recommendation to anybody out there.
It's great to discover a new band that you love and then find out that they've got 10 albums.
Yeah, that's really it's
like, oh,
candy store work.
What else have they done? Big list.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask Mark to stick around. So maybe we'll do a couple of more videos together. He might not agree. He might say, no, I'm off, but we'll see. Thanks for coming, Mark, for this. Thanks for asking for this song. I hope this hasn't been too painful.
No, it was nice.
This will make you so famous. No. You're not going to be able to leave the house after this.
Yeah, right. Well, I won't leave the house. It's 35 degrees outside. And
it's very warm here. Yeah. I've got, you can't see it, but behind me I've got like the ocean and a sunset. It's a picture that one of my friends took, actually. I was wondering what to put on the background, but it suits the weather the way I'm feeling because it's really hot in here. Phew. Yeah. Right. Anyway, people, thank you for watching. If you've watched this far, well done. There's a little badge on its way to you. Let us know in the comments what you think. I am genuinely interested to hear people's experiences with something, with a band like Opeth, because they have been around such a long time. They have affected, I think, a lot of people's thinking about metal. I suspect they're a band that's got people into metal that wouldn't have necessarily. Like my aforementioned friend, he was not a metal fan. But Opeth he would now list on a list of bands that he likes, So just like that. So yeah, I am genuinely interested in hearing what people have got to say. So send me a comment. Tell me where I went wrong. I'm sure I did. Mark's perfect, but I'm not. I'll see you soon. Say goodbye, Mark.
Bye bye.
There you go. See you soon. Bye bye.